Mythos versus logos. Mythos: subjective mathematics, will, desire, emotion, the inner experience of the world. Logos: objective mathematics, reason and logic, the outer open parent scientific closed parent experience of the world, inner wisdom and intuition. Where you stand is dependent on your Myers-Briggs personality type. In general, the following is true open parent, though there are of course exceptions to the rule. Closed parent: Illuminists are introverted thinkers and intuitives. Scientists are extrovert thinkers. Open parent: non-intuitive closed parent and sensors. Eastern religions are introverted, intuitive and feeling. Open parent: non-thinking closed parent. Abrahamists are extrovert sensing and feeling types. Open parent: non-thinking and non-intuitive closed parent. Abrahamism is therefore the most irrational and idiotic religious system. It promotes faith rather than knowledge because knowledge requires hard work, thinking and intuition, all denied to Abrahamists. If a really stupid, primitive person were asked to create a religion from scratch, he would create Abrahamism. If the same task were given to a really smart person, he would create Illuminism. Remember, underlying everything is a non-physical soul with infinite capacity, capable of being alchemically transmuted. Open parent via dialectical mathematical evolution. Closed parent into gold. This is the gospel of Illuminism. From the point of view of the Illuminati, there is nowhere left to go. Complete mathematics covers everything. Nothing is omitted. Open parent. Unlike with science. Closed parent. Illuminism is the true grand unified theory of everything. Everything is united in one thing, living mathematics, and nothing besides. This is the absolute, undeniable truth of existence. This is our gospel. This is the true good news. The four moral choices: 1. Closed parent Abrahamism: morality is transcendent. Open parent vested in a perfect creator. Closed parent: this proves wholly immoral unless God demonstrates that he can do no evil. The Abrahamic God, by ordering Abraham to murder his son, showed himself supremely immoral, hence not God, hence his entire moral code is bogus. 2. Closed parent Eastern religion: morality is immanent. Open parent: the universe is imbued with morality via the mysterious force of karma. Closed parent. 3. Closed parent science: no morality, amorality. 4. Closed parent Illuminism: rational morality. So, what's it to be? Nietzsche, an atheist who described himself as an immoralist, was defiantly opposed to the morality of Christianity. Open parent: as any sane person should be. Closed parent offered a morality of self-overcoming and striving towards superhuman perfection. This kind of thinking is built into the dialectical moral code of Illuminism. That is, Nietzsche's morality is thoroughly rational and desirable. On the other hand, Nietzsche was in many ways an elitist snob and entirely dismissive of the common herd. Illuminism, on the contrary, seeks to perfect everyone, not just the favored few. What is the difference between Aristotelian and Hegelian open parent dialectical closed parent logic? Aristotelian logic is abstract and objective. It is pure and absolute. It is of the nature of law, of immutable, eternal Platonic forms. Aristotelian logic doesn't have to apply to anything real. Logical statements about unicorns are every bit as valid as logical statements about horses, yet unicorns don't exist. Hegelian dialectical logic is concrete and ontological. It's a dynamic process. It's real-life logic, how things actually unfold. In the arena of actual existence, things don't ask themselves whether they're a or not a. Open parent in Aristotelian terms. Closed parent. Nothing in actual existence is ever clear-cut. It is never pure being. It is always becoming. To become means to be changing into something else. If you are A and you are becoming, then you are already moving away from A and becoming, not dash A, but nor were you ever really A in the first place. So, nothing ever belongs to an unambiguous logical division. In a universe of becoming, everything is flowing in and out of different states of transient being. All A's become not dash A's, that is, they are dialectical. Things turn into their opposites and back again, over and over again, just as in the Taoist concept of yin and yang. An evolutionary universe of becoming automatically reflects dialectical logic. There is no other type of logic that can be applied to a continual flow. The wondrous thing about dialectical logic is that it leads to a superior flow, more efficient, more productive, of higher quality. Dialectical logic is none other than how the cosmic equation solves itself. The solution to existence is when the dialectic has reached its omega point, the absolute perfection. The universe knows it has solved itself when it has arrived at the omega point and can go no further. In order to understand the future, we need only study the past. That reveals the secret of the dialectic to us, and we can then consciously create dialectical processes that will accelerate our progress towards the omega point, towards becoming God. Old-style Aristotelian logic does have a range of applicability in on/off situations for individuals. Someone is a virgin or not, pregnant or not, married or not, in a job or not, and so on. But viewed from the perspective of the whole human race, there is a constant dialectical flow of virginity, pregnancy, marriage, and so on. Moreover, in a reincarnational view of the human being whereby he has had countless lives, his dialectical progress has to be viewed across all of these lives, not just one. In this light, gender, virginity, pregnancy, married status, and so on are not in fact on and off, since a new life can reverse all of the decisions and properties of a previous life. In a new life, someone might choose to be a celibate priest, whereas in a former life he was a Don Juan. Reincarnation offers the perfect dialectical system where all opposites can be explored and tested. The key difference between Hegel's dialectical logic and traditional abstract logic is that Hegel's dialectic is ontological, that is, it has real existence. Traditional logic is about form and has no necessary contact with content. Traditional logic could specify a set of logical forms describing all of the properties of a race of Hamlets. Yet Hamlet is just a fictional character in a play by Shakespeare, that is, he has no real content whatever. In dialectical logic, form and content cannot be separated. There are no abstractions. Dialectic logic is therefore messy compared with traditional logic. In fact, it might even be called illogical in many of its manifestations. Open paren if the underlying process isn't understood. Close paren. Dialectical logic deals with metaphysics, science, nature, ethics, mechanical, chemical, inorganic and organic processes, with desire, feeling and will, with music, with art, religion and philosophy. The dialectic is ingrained in everything. This view is sometimes called panlogism, meaning that logic open paren dialectical logic, to be more precise close paren, is literally everywhere. Reason open paren dialectical reason close paren is omnipresent. Everything is fundamentally imbued with ontological reason. This type of reason does not proceed by way of smooth operations that we might associate with the computer, but by way of contradiction, opposition, conflict. That is, reason works itself out via a vast, cosmic struggle where, slowly but surely, after many setbacks and defeats, the type of flawless, computer reason that we normally think of starts to emerge. This type of reason is the highest product of the dialectic, its culmination, its omega point, the absolute. We might say that reason evolves from something chaotic to something of pure order and organization. It does so through the dialectic, which works by way of throwing all possible rational roots together in the great war of thesis and antithesis, and then moving to better open paren more rational close paren outcomes via the synthesis phase, which generates a higher thesis, which invokes a higher antithesis, thus requiring a higher synthesis, and so on until we arrive at rational perfection, God. For the universe to operate in any other way would require reason and logic to have their traditional computer-like form. The world would be a clockwork mechanism, an infallible natural computer, but the universe isn't like that. It's a living organism, and must proceed with dialectical, organic messiness, confusion and contradiction rather than perfectly smooth, inorganic machine logic. Abstract logic equals the universe as a machine. Dialectical logic equals the universe as an organism. Naturally, scientific materialists detest dialectical logic and even deny its existence. The scientific view has a lot in common with the ancient view of the materialistic Stoics. For them, the core of existence was reason open paren logos close paren. God was the God of reason, and, since God was in charge of everything, reason and logic were everywhere, hence fate, necessity, inevitability and providence ruled all things. Everything happened according to precise rational cause and effect. Just as modern scientists think, nature was a place of inescapable rational laws. Nothing happened by chance. If people were sufficiently rational, they would discern the reason for everything, hence never be troubled because they would understand that everything was rationally inevitable. Abrahamism is radically different, more or less the opposite of Stoicism. God now becomes a creature of pure will rather than pure reason. He is violent, jealous, angry, cruel, capricious, and frequently makes mistakes open paren. He even had to drown the world he himself created close paren. He's partisan open paren, taking the side of his chosen people against everyone else close paren, and egotistical, demanding that everyone gets on their knees to worship him. He thinks nothing of ordering fathers to kill their children. This, somehow, is supposed to be a moral God. There is not one particle of reason on show in relation to Abrahamism. The dialectic is reflected perfectly by Abrahamism. This backward system of superstition, hatred of reason, love of faith, rejection of knowledge and promotion of fanaticism is the dialectical antithesis that humanity must overcome if it is to proceed to a higher level of dialectical evolution, to bring us closer to becoming a community of gods. Abstract reason and logic accompany dead things, while the dialectic is the essence of living things. Only at the culmination of the dialectic does life attain the perfection of abstract reason and logic. This is when the cosmos has reached what might be called a state of bliss, of perfect being. Everything has its place and there's a place for everything. Everything functions perfectly harmoniously. Everything happens according to perfect reason and logic. There are no contradictions. No one has any cause for complaint. Nothing unreasonable and irrational happens. There's just one problem. This is a dead universe. It is a computer, not a living entity. In order to achieve life once more, to reanimate itself, to embrace the life of becoming rather the death of being, to restart the dialectic, the cosmos has to commit divine suicide and start again. This is the end of a cosmic age. Each cosmic age always ends in exactly the same way, with the completion of the dialectic, and cosmic death. Life is a messy business, full of contradictions, horrors, evils, illogicalities and irrationalities. When all of the problems of life are resolved, then life is actually over because those problems were life. The overcoming of obstacles, the business of the dialectic, is the essence of life. When the dialectic is over, what's left? People everywhere are bedazzled and beguiled by the concept of nirvana, heaven, paradise, moksha, release from the wheel of suffering. by the vision of eternal bliss. Yet the supreme irony is that this longed-for state is indistinguishable from death. To be alive, the cosmos must be striving to attain bliss, but it's a disaster to actually attain it because life is then at an end. It must begin again, it must die and be reborn. So, although the Illuminati promote the religion of becoming God as the culmination of the dialectic and the perfect actualization of the initial cosmic potential, we don't do so in any naive way. When the community of gods has become sufficiently big, when a critical mass of divinity is attained, a chain reaction of gnosis takes place and the entire universe becomes enlightened. Every monad becomes God. The whole universe is now God fully actualized, fully manifested. Deus absconditus becomes Deus manifestus. But this chain reaction of light does not stop. It goes all the way to the Big Bang that ushers in the next age of the cosmos, the rebirth of the dialectic, the renewal of life. Let there be light, let there be life. All principles that apply to the cosmos apply everywhere, big and small, as above, so below. The cosmos itself is subject to the same laws as any of us. The universe itself reincarnates, exactly as we do. It goes through the same cycle of birth, growth, death, rebirth. Life is eternal and the cosmos is eternal. Their journey through eternity is conducted via cycles. The details of the cycle are unique, but the pattern is exactly the same each time. We can see precisely the same thing when we look at humanity. Each life is unique but follows a pattern. All of us are born, are children, then adolescents, then adults, then middle-aged, then elderly, and then dead. Some unlucky people might die young and some might live much longer than average. These are the outliers, but their lives nevertheless conform to the pattern of all life: birth followed at some point by death. The dialectic embraces everything, even the irrational. It is the universal science, which includes all the particular sciences, and also everything non-scientific. Logic, reason, nature, will, desire, feeling and mind/spirit are all aspects of the unfolding dialectic. The dialectic is embedded in the evolution of the cosmos. It is embedded in history. All of the institutions of society are reflective of our current state of dialectical evolution. The workings of the dialectic are revealed all around us. We ourselves, in everything we do, reflect the dialectic. We are the children of the cosmic dialectic. Spinoza and Hegel. There is a great deal of similarity between these two great thinkers. Spinoza, a rationalist philosopher, was often accused of pantheism or even atheism. Certainly, his God was nothing like that of Abrahamism. He maintained that there was only one substance that he referred to as Deus sive nature God, or nature that is God and the cosmos were one and the same. As for mind and matter, they were just different attributes of this single substance. Spinoza's system is reminiscent of ancient Stoicism, where all matter is infused with mind and subject to the laws of reason. For the Stoics and Spinoza, freedom lay in rationally understanding the laws of the universe. Emotions were a disaster because they clouded our judgment, obscured the truth, and made us want things that could never be. They made us rail against divine reason rather than embracing it and seeing its underlying perfection. As for Hegel, he was an idealist, rationalist philosopher, very much in the mold of his Illuminatist predecessor Heraclitus, who based the universe on reason logos dynamism, and the dialectic. For Hegel, matter was a mode of mind, where Spinoza's system was largely static, with reason fully formed so to speak. Hegel's system was dynamic and evolutionary, with reason dialectically perfecting itself. Their vision is much the same, but with Hegel's system acting as a dynamic and evolving version of Spinoza's system. By the same token, Aristotle's philosophy was a more dynamic and evolutionary version of Plato's. In philosophy, static systems are often recast in dynamic terms, usually for the better. The tension between static and dynamic thinking goes back to Parmenides and Heraclitus. The former maintained that change was illusory and the latter that change was the only reality. We also see the same type of dichotomy in creationism versus evolutionism. Creationists picture an unchanging creator making a static, perfect spherical universe, like the old Aristotelian cosmos with its crystal spheres, one within another in perfect order like Russian dolls. Evolutionary thinking dispenses with an unchanging creator and has the whole of existence in motion, dynamically changing. In general, mythos thinkers are creationists and logos thinkers are evolutionists. Creationism lends itself to silly, irrational stories and evolutionism to scientific, rational processes. All thinking can be reduced to mythos and logos, to creationism and evolutionism, to static versus dynamic thinking. Intuitive people are always attracted to evolutionary thinking because it promises a better future, higher possibilities, things ascending. Intuitives are usually logos thinkers. Feeling people are much more likely to be creationist, mythos thinkers. They are scared of the future and of change. They seek security and certainty. An unchanging creator is the ultimate symbol of security and certainty. All that the feeling person has to do is place their faith in the creator and they can emotionally relax. A feeling person is not interested in actual truth. What he wants is the feeling that he has access to the truth. A bewildering world of relativity theory, quantum theory, M-theory, dialectical processes and so on offers no reassurance to a feeling type. Everything seems vague, uncertain, provisional. This, for a feeling person, is an abyss of dread and doubt. He demands a creator because only a creator stands for certainty. We see that people's ways of thinking, their beliefs, their attitudes to knowledge and reason are all actually dictated by their psychological personality types and their brain wiring. Mythos creationists do not choose to be of that type. Their emotions drive them into that camp. Mythos creationism is the natural mode of thinking of a sentimental, nostalgic, fearful, superstitious, emotional person. Logos evolutionism is the natural mode of thinking of a logical, analytical, rational person. Probably by the age of 3, a child is in one camp or the other, and extremely unlikely to change camps, even though certain aspects of his personality may change over time. Darwin versus Hegel. Darwinian evolutionism differs from Hegelian evolutionism in respect of the purpose of the universe. Darwinism points to a world of things becoming better and better adapted to their environment via natural selection, but there is no intrinsic desire of anything to get better, to become more perfect. It happens as an inevitable consequence of natural selection. Though whether Darwinism is relevant to human minds is a very different matter. There seems to be no general improvement in the quality of human minds. The reverse is true. If anything, the dialectic, on the other hand, is all about teleology, about the universe wanting to improve, to become more perfect. The dialectic presupposes that the universe has a mental aspect while Darwinism is based on pure materialism. Illuminism asserts that Darwinism and Hegelianism are difficult to distinguish practically. There's no simple observation that can prove one correct and disprove the other. However, materialism is, by its very nature, in serious philosophical difficulties when it attempts to account for how life and mind arise from dead, mindless atoms. Hegelianism attributes inherent life and mind, albeit rudimentary, to everything in the universe. If you look at the human cities of the present day compared with the caves of Stone Age people, is this remarkable transformation caused by materialistic natural selection or by idealistic dialectical improvement? And if humanity can come this far in a few thousand years, what will it achieve in millions of years? Idealistic dialecticalism points to humanity, or at least its finest exemplars, becoming more and more like gods. Darwinism makes no such predictions since it assigns no purpose to life, and isn't interested in the fate of human beings. Scientists are much happier to describe the fate of the universe, which is one, most of them say, of terminal death, where the whole universe runs down because of the second law of thermodynamics. In the scientific view, human beings are merely a bizarre epiphenomenon that appears in a small window of opportunity during the evolution of the non-mental universe. In the Hegelian view, matter is a necessary dialectical phenomenon that appears during the evolution of the mind. For scientists, matter is driving everything. For Hegelians, mind is driving everything. For scientists, life and mind are inconsequential. The laws of physics are all that count. For Hegelians, life and mind are everything. They are the whole point of the universe, not incidental to it. The laws of reason are all that count, and these laws are dialectical in an ontological sense. So, which version of evolutionary theory do you prefer? Scientific materialism has no spiritual or religious dimension. Hegelianism, on the other hand, is fundamentally spiritual and religious, and matter is only a vehicle for the evolution of mind. Both forms of evolutionism reflect logos thinking, but they differ radically in how they treat the mind-body problem. Darwinism rejects mind as an independent reality. Hegelianism rejects matter as an independent reality. In Darwinism, a purposeless material universe unfolds according to the inexorable laws of physics. In Hegelianism, the unconscious mind of the cosmos comes to consciousness and perfection according to the inexorable dialectical laws of reason. Those are your two choices: materialism versus idealism, an evolving, purposeless material universe or an evolving, purposeful mental universe. As for mythos creationism, it rejects evolutionism entirely. Eastern religion is a kind of halfway house between mythos creationism and logos evolutionism. The concept of karma, a fixed moral dimension of the cosmos, is highly creationist, but samsara and reincarnation are evolutionary. Over and over again in human thinking, we see a few basic building blocks being rearranged in different ways. In Illuminism, the basic building blocks are monads and the numbers of mathematics, and they are fundamentally mental rather than physical. In science, the building blocks are thought to be strings, and they are physical rather than mental. In Abrahamism, God is the basis of everything else. In Eastern religion, the living cosmos is the basis of everything. The thinking of Spinoza and Hegel can easily be reconciled with Eastern religion if the latter chooses to ditch mysticism and ritual and become much more logical, rational and analytical. Scientific materialism could easily be reconciled with Spinoza and Hegel if it became scientific idealism. There is only one type of thinking that is irrevocably separate from everything else: Abrahamic creationism. The Jews, as the inventors of Abrahamic monotheistic creationism, committed the greatest intellectual error in history, setting humanity back by thousands of years. Everyone who embraces Abrahamism is an enemy of intellect. Abrahamism is pure mythos, and that's all it can ever be. Its appeal, such as it is solely to emotion. To every logos thinker, Abrahamism is incomprehensible. It's so irrational as to be actively offensive to any rational person. Anyone who embraces Abrahamism is expressing contempt for reason. As Kierkegaard recognized, to believe in Abrahamism requires the wholesale rejection of reason. There is no conceivable rational defense of Abrahamism. It is loved by all stupid people who revere their own feelings and place these above thinking. The people who love Abrahamism most of all are those infinitely submissive and masochistic people who long to be on their knees, debasing themselves before an infinite master and sadist. If anyone were to intellectually set out to design the ultimate sadist, they would arrive at the Abrahamic God. He simply cannot be rivaled as the ultimate sadistic cosmic psychopath, and is that not the definition of the devil? The monadic God. It is said that, for Hegel, God was not a transcendent being, rather he was immanent, part of the spiritual selves of all human beings. God is absolute reality, the dialectical culmination of cosmic evolution. Hegel wrote, there is only one being, and things by their very nature form part of it, and there is in the believer a divine element which rediscovers itself, its true nature. Thus Hegel was able to reinterpret the Christian incarnation not as a singular event, but as an allegory for the capacity of all human beings to find the kingdom of God within themselves, that is, to become God. The divine and human natures are not radically separate at all. In fact, there is no intrinsic difference. We are all human, but we can all attain divinity. Why? Because we are all part of God, of the evolving Absolute. As He evolves, so do we. Our evolution is His evolution, and He reaches perfection only through our perfection. It is our divinity that completes the cosmic divinity. What are the Illuminati looking for? The leadership of the Illuminati subscribe to the great human being theory of history. Individuals are always the catalyst for great changes. The common herd, the flock of sheeple, can be viewed as automata or puppets. They will dance to whatever tune world-historic individuals compose. Secondly, the Illuminati cite the Spartan mantra, sink or swim. World-historic figures are those who, by definition, succeed. They are the swimmers. All obstacles placed in front of them, and there are always many, are overcome. They find the answers. They solve the problems. They defeat the opposition. If the Illuminati recruit as many would-be world-historic figures as possible, sooner or later one of them will live up to their billing and command the zeitgeist. They will inspire the world to give birth to itself anew, free of all the mistakes of the past, particularly of Abrahamism, free market capitalism and privilege. The mathematical arc. Try imagining a world without any mathematics at all. Is such a thing possible? Is mathematics therefore essential? If it is, why should it only be partial? Why shouldn't it be all-embracing, everything, the totality? Why should mathematics not be reality itself? After all, is there any better candidate for defining reality? Everything we have said flows from the single inference, first drawn by Pythagoras, our first official Grand Master, that all things are numbers, hence everything is mathematical. If mathematics is the arc, the foundation of existence, then existence must be configured mathematically, that is according to a mathematical coordinate grid, and each point on the grid must be an actual, existential thing, a monad, an entity, a dimensionless point, an unconscious mind. If you deny this to be so, how can you account for the overwhelming mathematical nature of science? And how can there be a type of scientific mathematics that is different from actual mathematics? If mathematics is our supreme tool for unlocking the mysteries of unreality, how can reality not be mathematical, and how can it not be based on an ontological Cartesian set of axes forming a monadic plenum that covers everything, the divine subject? If you are inclined to bow to anyone, it certainly shouldn't be to the murderous, lying torture god of Abrahamism. Instead, it should be to mathematicians. Mathematicians, far from being the G gang, the freak parade, the dork division, the uncool collective, are the true master race, the chosen people, the community of saints, the elect, the saved, the most favored of God, the chosen ones. the real messiahs. Above all, they are closest to becoming God because they are closest to understanding the true nature of the universe. Everything ontologically mathematical is real and everything real is ontologically mathematical. This is the gospel of the Illuminati. If mathematics is the language of God, then if you are mathematically illiterate you will never know the mind of God. Why have the idiotic Abrahamic religions of faith and fanaticism fared so well? It's because they cater for the legions of the irrational, mathematical illiterates. How is it possible for holy texts not to mention mathematics? What do you think is more likely, that God speaks Hebrew, Arabic or mathematics? You would need to be retarded to believe that God is a Jew or an Arab, or that he was born in a stable to a 14-year-old Jewish open parent claiming to be a virgin to avoid being stoned to death for fornication. Close parent. So, you think you know better than the Illuminati. If think you can outsmart the Illuminati, you would be asserting that you are more intelligent than intellectual giants such as Hegel, Pythagoras and Leibniz. Hegel's influence over humanity has been astounding, particularly via the distortion of his teachings that found expression in Marxism. Without Hegel, there would have been no Marx. Marx was certainly right about one thing: the dialect is at the core of any possibility of human progress. Pythagoras is one of the most influential individuals of all time. A powerful echo of his philosophy is publicly available via Plato, also an Illuminatus. As for Leibniz, he is almost certainly the most intelligent human being who ever lived, infinitely smarter than Moses, Buddha, Mohammed or Jesus Christ. Do you seriously think you can out-rationalize the inventor of calculus? Is your logic superior to this seminal figure in the development of mathematical logic? Leibniz's monadology is the summit of human thinking. It is the answer to everything. This is not a question of faith. This is a fact. No one is asking you to believe a single thing we have said. No one is threatening you if you choose not to accept the truth. That's your problem. The Illuminati are idealists, panpsychics, dialecticians, monists and, above all, rationalists. Illumination is the culmination of idealism and rationalism. It asserts the absolute primacy of mind over matter, of intellect over will, of reason over faith. Absolute knowledge and absolute truth are available to humanity for one reason alone: mathematics. All true statements about the universe are mathematical. All true knowledge about the universe is mathematical. There is nothing other than mathematics. Mathematics is the quintessential subject of the mind. It does not require any empirical knowledge at all. It does not require any engagement with the world of the senses. The reason why we need science to explore the world is that humans are not yet good enough mathematicians. If we were, we could answer everything without any reference to science. All possible knowledge is contained in the numbers, functions and equations of mathematics. No knowledge exists externally to mathematics. The only truly problematic aspect of mathematics arises when it is subjective rather than objective. We are mathematical subjects and our inner experience of mathematics is not one of pure reason but of feelings and sensations, desire and will. That is, we do not encounter our own mathematical natures mathematically. Subjective mathematics is completely different from objective mathematics. Mathematics experienced from the inside is the realm of the senses, of consciousness, yet if seen from the outside, everything you experience is just mathematical signals. Eventually there will come a time when every objective mathematical signal can be interpreted subjectively and the masters of mathematics will know everything that anyone is thinking or feeling. This, in fact, is what happens when you achieve gnosis and become God. The old philosophical debate between empiricism and rationalism turns out to be a mathematical misunderstanding. Empiricism is subjective mathematics while rationalism is objective mathematics. They are not opposed to each other at all. They are two aspects of the same thing. Empiricism, the arena of our senses, is telling us what it's like to experience mathematical signals. Rationalism, the arena of our logical mind, is telling us how to perform mathematics objectively. Naturally, both approaches should be used in tandem. No empiricist should ever reject pure reason out of hand, and no rationalist should reject sensory information as completely irrelevant. We must know, we will know. Mathematician David Hilbert. 0, the missing number. The earliest known record of 0 is from the 9th century in India, although it was probably in use centuries earlier. Why were the Indians so amenable to 0? How were they able to take this astounding imaginative leap when no one else could, including the brilliant Greeks? In fact, the Pythagoreans knew about 0 too, but it was one of their greatest secrets. It was the number of the immaterial universe which preceded the number 1, the first number of the material world. However, it was a concept that was never properly developed until Leibniz made it the centerpiece of his monadology. The concepts of nothingness and eternity lay at the heart of Hinduism. For the Eastern religious mind, the universe is born out of nothingness, and nothingness is the ultimate goal of humanity. The return to the origin. The Eastern mind was fixated on the void. What was more natural than to present it mathematically? Growth. It is not enough to live, one must grow. The basic urge of life is not mere existence, it is development, it is ascending the scale, becoming more actualized, more godlike. If you have not embarked on a project to become God, then you are an insult to life and you do not deserve life. You are a life blocker, preventing another soul from having its opportunity. Piss, or get off the pot, as the saying goes. Heraclitus. Heraclitus was a rationalist, regarding reason as more important than sense perception. He believed that the rational life was the best life, but he was fully aware that most people prefer the life of feeling and sensing, the life of passion and sensuality. It was through reason, Heraclitus thought, that we made contact with the divine order. The controlling element of the cosmos was rational, so the more rational we were, the more we reflected the cosmic intelligence. Socrates and Plato also rubbished the notion that truth could be found in the sensory world and the world of the passions. Socrates said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." Sadly, almost all human beings lead unexamined lives. Examining your life is a rational undertaking, and most people aren't rational. The truth. How do we attain true knowledge rather than mere opinion? What is a method? What's for sure is that truth is not democratic. It is never the majority that determines truth, as Robert Heinlein observed so astutely. Democracy can't work. Mathematicians, peasants, and animals, that's all there is. So democracy, a theory based on the assumption that mathematicians and peasants are equal, can never work. Wisdom is not additive. Its maximum is that of the wisest man in a given group. For everyone who doesn't like mathematics, too bad, you'll never understand reality. Truth is not democratic. It's not for everybody. It's reserved for smart people, and if you're not smart, you had better stick to the Bible, Torah, Quran, or whatever other irrational, ignorant, faith-based, superstitious claptrap you find comforting. Illumination is about the complete removal of faith and doubt from the world and their replacement by certain mathematical knowledge. Pythagoras, the first formal Grand Master of the Illuminati, saw 2,500 years ago that mathematics was the most important thing of all, and he made a religion of it. But this is no religion of faith. This is a religion of reason that proves the existence of the soul, God, and the afterlife. What's more, it offers every soul the chance to become God, just as in chess, every pawn is capable of being promoted to the queen, the most important piece on the board. Living chess is almost a perfect allegory of the mathematical universe. Humanity's greatest thinkers are those most in contact with truth. The truth does not reside in ancient books of revelation by bearded prophets. The very idea that truth hasn't changed for millennia despite all of the immense advances in human knowledge is insane. How can books reporting the words of semi-literate and even illiterate prophets open paren like Mohammed close paren written before the Renaissance, the Enlightenment and the rise of modern science and mathematics possibly outgun the greatest intellectual achievements of humanity's modern geniuses? It's bizarre to imagine that the truth isn't always progressing. How backward would you have to be to think that desert books devoid of any mathematical, scientific or philosophical content could have anything worthwhile and relevant to say in the modern world? Idealism versus materialism. Is the universe actually just a great mind, or is it really matter throughout? Is matter mind or is mind matter? If it is mind and matter, what is the relation between the two? How can mind influence matter or matter influence mind? Have philosophers found a solution to the problem of the relationship between mind and matter? S.E. Frost, Jr. But, with the coming of the present-day world, a world in which men are questioning the materialistic premises seriously, there are indications that some new form of idealism is just over the horizon. Values, spiritual experiences, ideals and aspirations do not seem to be accounted for completely by materialism. There is a growing feeling among present-day thinkers that the next step in philosophy will be a new idealism. S.E. Frost, Jr. Illuminism is this new idealism that the world has been waiting for. Perfect Plato. For Plato, the true universe is a place of perfect, changeless, pure and eternal forms, while the false universe of appearances is imperfect, always changing, impure and mortal. The true universe is one of pure being while the universe we experience is one of pure becoming. Plato, it transpires, is exactly right if we translate all of his ideas into mathematics. The domain of perfect and changing forms is that of the laws of mathematics, numbers, geometrical shapes, the laws of mathematical relations, the laws of logic, the formulas, equations and identities of mathematics are all fixed forever. They are absolutely, eternally true, and they wholly control and shape the world of becoming. How can the world of becoming be understood mathematically? It couldn't be simpler. The domain of becoming is the domain of ever-changing and interacting mathematical functions. Functions are dynamic entities, while the definition of any particular, basic function is a form, eternally true. All combinations of functions are new, transient, mutable. Why? Because while the basis functions aren't changing, any complex function comprised of basis functions is inherently unstable since it can always be broken into its parts. We can think of basis functions as the atoms of functions while they can be combined in infinite ways to create molecular functions. The molecular functions, like all molecules, are unstable because they are not basic and anything not basic will, in the long run, always decompose into its basic parts. That's what it means for something to break down or malfunction. That's what death is. The world is thus composed of two elements: the fixed laws of mathematics, including fixed definitions of basis functions, and the molecular functions which are derived from the basis functions and which give rise to all the complex phenomena of existence. A universe of atoms that can't combine would not be an interesting or fruitful place. But once you have atoms that can combine in endless different ways, you have a Leibnizian universe, simplest in hypotheses and richest in phenomena. Think of the English language. You have 26 and changing atomic letters that can be combined to form a dictionary of words, and, from these words, an infinity of different thoughts and ideas can be expressed. Language in its broadest sense defines the whole world. The cosmic language is of course mathematics. All whole numbers can be constructed from the prime numbers alone, that is, the primes are the letters of the alphabet and the other numbers are the words open paren, albeit words whose meaning never changes, unlike words in the English language close paren. In ontological mathematics, the letters of the alphabet are the set of simple sinusoidal waves open paren incorporating sine and cosine waves close paren. These letters can combine in specific ways to form stable words. These mathematical words are what we know as the elementary particles of physics, from which we get atoms, the building blocks of nature, and these can then combine endlessly to form the sentences, paragraphs, poems, short stories, reports, studies, academic treatises and novels that we know in the scientific world as molecules, and as supermolecules such as DNA that can define something as astonishing as a conscious human being, made from nothing but food and water. Building complex entities from simpler ones is the essence of existence and evolution. Creating the novels of life from the letters and words of life is what it's all about. Without the building blocks, there can be no complex marvels. But every complex marvel is always in danger of degenerating back into its components. The struggle between simplicity and complexity is eternal. All simple things might be said to have a desire to become more complex, but this complexity leads to all sorts of stresses and strains, meaning that all complex things have a tendency to revert to their simpler building blocks. As we have said, language in all of its forms is the essence of reality. A language needs letters, words, sentences, syntax, grammar, correct spellings open paren wrong spellings are like genetic mutations. Some of them might be naturally selected and prosper, killing off the old spellings close paren. All languages are ultimately based on the inherent mathematical language of reality. A language such as English is just mathematics expressed in letters rather than numbers. Human languages tend to emphasize feelings. They are not about precision. They abandon rigorous logic and syntax in favor of self-expression. Many of the problems of the human race flow from bad choices of language. The ludicrous Abrahamic texts would be impossible to express in terms of mathematics. Why is science so much more successful and powerful than religion in terms of its positive achievements for the betterment of humanity? It's because it does not stray far from the rigor and accuracy of mathematics. The Abrahamic texts, on the other hand, are based on illogical, imprecise emotional claptrap that appeals directly to the feeling and sensing parts of the brain and avoids the intellectual and rational parts. Religious beliefs are a function of personality types. Those who are not configured as thinkers and or intuitives have been cast adrift in the ocean of knowledge and reason. They flounder, they drown. So, they flee that deadly ocean and plant themselves in the intellectual desert wherein flourishes a delightful oasis of feelings and sensations. Here, no awkward questions are asked. No complex equations are presented. Everyone's feelings are as valid as everyone else's. Everyone can feel empowered. No one criticizes them and exposes them as morons. These people do not proclaim cogito ergo sum. Only a mathematician-philosopher, as Descartes was, would ever say such a thing. Most believers declare, I feel therefore I am, I sense therefore I am, I believe therefore I am. Above all, Abrahamists say, I obey therefore I am. They are defined by their submission to their God. Their agenda is nowhere clearer than in the case of Islam. This word means submission. It is the perfect religion for slaves. It is an insult to human freedom and dignity. All Muslims have declared war on the human race and declared their absolute loyalty to their master, Allah/Satan. They should not be defined as part of the human race. The Jews and Christians are barely any better. These are also archetypal slave religions. The language of life. Our DNA lives inside our bodies. It is not concentrated in a particular part of the body, but it is distributed among the cells. There are about 1,000 million cells making up an average human body, and, with some exceptions which we can ignore, every one of those cells contains a complete copy of the body's DNA. This DNA can be regarded as a set of instructions for how to make a body, written in the A, T, C, G alphabet of the nucleotides. It is as though, in every room of a gigantic building, there was a bookcase containing the architect's plans for the entire building. The bookcase in a cell is called the nucleus. The architect's plans run to 46 volumes in man. The number is different in other species. The volumes are called chromosomes. They are visible under a microscope as long threads, and the genes are strung out along them in order. Richard Dawkins, The Selfish Gene. Here, Dawkins presents us with a wonderfully effective and clear metaphor. Each cell, the basic building block of the body, contains the whole body's design plan open paren DNA close paren. The design plan is divided into volumes open paren chromosomes close paren, pages open paren genes close paren, words open paren nucleotides close paren and letters open paren atoms close paren. We contend that this basic scheme applies to everything. Basic elements are built up in organized layers to form more complex units, and eventually an infinitely diverse expression of complex phenomena becomes possible. This is the essence of evolution. The entire universe of becoming is evolutionary, and it takes its laws and basic units from the eternal world of being: the domain of the laws of mathematics. Plato's dream of reconciling Parmenides open paren the philosopher of pure being: nothing ever truly changes close paren, and Heraclitus open paren the philosopher of pure becoming: nothing ever truly stays the same close paren is, thus triumphantly vindicated. The Illuminati once held a relentlessly Heraclitean view of the cosmos and considered that everything was becoming. Mathematics itself was regarded as evolutionary, as something the cosmic mind learned by trial and error. Mathematics was not regarded as a given but as something that developed in conjunction with the evolving mind. In some sense, therefore, it was deemed a construction of the mind rather than as entirely separate from the mind. It eventually became clear to Leibniz that this view was mistaken. With a flash of godlike intuition, he had a wondrous epiphany. He realized that all elements of mathematics are true simultaneously. If one part is true, the entirety is true. All elements are dependent on each other. If one falls, the whole edifice falls. Mathematics embodies the ultimate principle of existence that we have named the holographic principle open paren holus equals whole, graphus equals writing. Holography equals the writing of the whole close paren. Each part is contained in the whole and the whole is contained in each part. It is for this reason that ontological zero open paren pure existence close paren, the most important number of all, is so vital and so different from abstract zero open paren non-existence close paren. Ontological zero contains, of necessity, the whole of mathematics. All the numbers, laws, equations, basis functions, geometrical shapes and logic of mathematics are encoded within ontological zero. What this means is that ontological zero can be considered as the cosmic living cell. Its DNA is mathematics itself. Every one of the infinite ontological zeros that constitute existence is encoded with the entirety of mathematics. That encoding is permanent and unchanging. Mathematics is Platonic, eternal, immutable and perfect. Just as ontological zeros are eternal, they can neither be created nor destroyed, they are pure existence itself, so is mathematics itself. All elements of mathematics depend on all of the other elements. Ontological mathematics is entirely self-consistent and coherent. Each element is defined with respect to the others. Each makes sense only in relation to the others. It's an all-or-nothing scenario. If any element were removed, the rest would no longer make any sense. If anything were added, the system would no longer make any sense. Mathematics, exactly like existence itself, can be neither created nor destroyed. Nothing can be added to it and nothing subtracted. Humanity's view of mathematics is currently limited. We don't yet see the whole picture, but the whole picture nevertheless exists and is known to the mind of God. We make mathematical discoveries, not mathematical inventions. We are continually making advances in our understanding of mathematics. We are like jigsaw players piecing it all together, but the big picture, the complete jigsaw, is out there right now, and has always been. It's eternal, it's complete. Mathematics is the unchanging cosmic DNA. It's pure, immutable being. Everything obeys mathematical laws because mathematics is encoded in everything. Everything understands mathematics and operates mathematically precisely because of that inherent coding. The mystery of where the laws that governed the Big Bang were prior to the Big Bang is solved. Those laws are mathematical and they are encoded in the fabric of existence itself. Ontological zero, the basis of existence, is mathematics. It contains the entirety of mathematics and that is eternally true. Existence is mathematics. The two are synonymous. Try to imagine a universe without mathematics. Imagine a science not based on mathematics. It's impossible. A non-mathematical universe is inconceivable. Mathematics determines everything. Mathematics creates God. God does not create mathematics. Mathematics is a single, eternal, self-consistent system. We could say that mathematics is the eternal mind of God, God in himself, God unconscious. Mathematics is Deus absconditus, the hidden God. It seeks to become Deus manifestus, the revealed God, the conscious God. What is the final purpose of reality? What is the meaning of life? It is for mathematics to become conscious of itself, to recognize itself in the mirror of existence, to know itself as mathematics. That's why the Supreme God is the God of mathematics. Hegel declared in the final section of his Phenomenology that absolute knowledge is mind knowing itself in the shape of mind. We could rewrite this as mathematics knowing itself in the shape of mathematics. Absolute knowledge is attained when mathematics realizes that what it seeks to know is itself. Mathematics is the answer to life, the universe and everything. Mathematics is the eternal truth of existence. The reason why we don't perceive that to be the case is that we are experiencing mathematics from its subjective inside, a domain of feelings and sensations, strivings and desires, fears and dreams. The inside of mathematics is the domain of Gödel's incompleteness theorem. Objective mathematics is complete: it is fully coherent and self-consistent. But subjective mathematics is the domain of self-reference, of truths that are true for the subject but are often meaningless in terms of objective mathematics. If a person deliberately tells a lie, he has thrown a spanner in the works of objective, causal mathematics. If he exercises free will, he causes bizarre things to happen. Free will and lies, impossible in objective, provable mathematics, are the exclusive province of subjective mathematics. When Gödel's incompleteness theorem is added to objective mathematics, it makes mathematics finally complete. Mathematics, in order to be capable of explaining all of existence, must be able to account for lies, delusions, feelings, hallucinations, imaginings, free will and subjectivity. All of that is impossible within objective, causal mathematics where everything is provable, mechanical and deterministic. Open paren that defines the domain of scientific materialism with its strange, dogmatic denial of free will. Close paren. Gödel's incompleteness theory is necessary to prove the existence of subjectivity, of self-reference, of free will and personal feelings. The incompleteness theorem is one of the greatest discoveries of all time because it constitutes the mathematical proof of the existence of free will. Without the incompleteness theorem, we would live in a purely objective, clockwork universe in which everything could be predicted with astonishing accuracy. Open paren. Even quantum mechanics doesn't radically change that picture. Close paren. With the incompleteness theorem, the universe can be subjective and it can exercise free will. It can feel, it can lie, it can love, it can invent, it can dream. The incompleteness theorem declares that mathematics is not just a relentless, inflexible set of unchallengeable proofs. It actually contains a magic ingredient called self-reference or subjectivity, which sabotages mathematics as a system of absolute logic, and allows us open paren mathematical subjects close paren to be free. It was essential for mathematics to have such a possibility, and Gödel, the great genius, provided it. Gödel revered Leibniz, and it's fitting that he should have completed the Leibnizian project of defining existence as 100% mathematical. The incompleteness theorem was the final logical brick, the proof of the existence of free will within the mathematical framework. Who could have guessed that mathematics could be used to reveal its own greatest strength, open paren, or weakness from the point of view of scientific materialists? Close paren. The ability to subvert itself through the exercise of unpredictable, free will. The incompleteness theorem guarantees that the universe is not clockwork, and not subject to the relentless machinery of cause and effect that would make freedom impossible. So, to gain absolute knowledge of the universe is to gain absolute knowledge of mathematics. That is what it means to be all-knowing, all-powerful and all-seeing. That is to be God. Anyone who achieves perfect knowledge of mathematics and the ability to control mathematical functions at will ipso facto becomes God. Ancient Greek atomism. Their point of view was remarkably like that of modern science, and avoided most of the faults to which Greek speculation was prone. They believed that everything is composed of atoms, which are physically, but not geometrically, indivisible, that between the atoms there is empty space, that atoms are indestructible, that they always have been, and always will be, in motion, that there are an infinite number of atoms, and even of kinds of atoms, the differences being as regards shapes and size. Aristotle asserts that, according to the atomists, atoms also differ as regards heat, the spherical atoms, which compose fire, being the hottest, and as regards weight, he quotes Democritus as saying, "The more any indivisible exceeds, the heavier it is." But the theory of whether atoms are originally possessed of weight and the theories of the atomists is a controversial one. There is considerable reason to think that weight was not an original property of the atoms of Leucippus and Democritus. It seems more probable that, on their view, atoms were originally moving at random, as in the modern kinetic theory of gases. Democritus said there was neither up nor down in the infinite void, and compared the movement of atoms in the soul to that of motes in a sunbeam when there is no wind. Bertrand Russell. The atomist Leucippus was the first to declare a principle of sufficient reason: naught happens for nothing, but everything from a ground and of necessity. Although the atomists were often accused of attributing everything to chance, they were, as we see from Leucippus's statement, strict determinists. Nothing at all happens by chance. All atomic collisions are fully determined. Mechanical laws govern all. As Bertrand Russell noted, the theory of the atomists was closer to modern science than any other theory of antiquity. There was no teleology in this system, no specific end for which the atoms were striving. In other words, atomism was pointless and meaningless system, exactly like modern scientific materialism. Atomism was essentially the first appearance in history of atheistic scientific materialism.